All right, welcome. Today, we are diving deep into a hotel that is huge for Disneyland visitors, the Howard Johnson Anaheim. It's right across the street from the park, and we're going to see if it's really the magical, convenient stay that so many people claim it is. Okay, so when you're planning a Disneyland trip, one of the biggest questions is, where are you going to stay? You want it to be close, you want it to be clean, and you definitely want good value. So, does the HoJo live up to all the hype? We've analyzed over 4,000 guest reviews to find out. Let's get into it. So here's how we're going to break this all down for you. First, we'll look at the big picture stats. Then we'll dig into those glowing 5-star raves, and, just as important, the serious 1-star warnings. After that, we'll take a look at its star attraction, and then, the big one, the final verdict. All right, first up, let's get the big picture. What are the thousands of reviews? What are the numbers really telling us about this place?
And wow, right off the bat, the numbers are pretty impressive. Out of more than 4,000 reviews, this place pulls in a 4.5 out of 5 stars. That is a really strong start.
But this is where it gets really interesting. Take a look at this chart. It's not just a good score, it's kind of lopsided, in a good way. Almost 3,000 of those reviews are in the excellent category. That's huge. And this little scorecard here, it tells us exactly why people love it. I mean, look at that location score, a 4.8. That's almost perfect. That short walk is obviously a game changer. Service and cleanliness also scoring super high. But you see those bottom two? Rooms and value? Still good scores, yeah, but they're trailing a little bit. And that's a clue, and we're going to follow up on that in just a minute. Okay, so what is going on with those nearly 3,000 excellent ratings? Let's zoom in on the raves and see what people are so excited about.
This one from Genesis Spee pretty much sums up what you hear over and over again. It's all about that location, less than a 10-minute walk, and the fact that the rooms are clean, they're renovated, and the beds are comfy. I mean, that's exactly what you want after a marathon day in the park, right?
And here's the other big piece of the puzzle, just like Dennis Way points out here, value. People feel like they're getting this amazing location and a great room for like a fraction of what it would cost to stay at one of the official Disney hotels.
But okay, it is not all pixie dust and happy endings. We have to look at the other side of the coin, because those 550 or so negative reviews, they tell a very, very different story.
Yeah, some guests had an absolutely awful time. I mean, Dustin H. does not mince words here. He calls it the least magical place on Earth, and talks about cigarette butts and smelly old furniture. That is a world away from the great reviews we just saw. And this right here, this is the core issue with the HoJo. When you start reading through everything, you realize there are basically two completely different hotels here. It seems like your entire experience, 5 stars or 1 star, boils down to one simple thing. Did you get a new renovated room, or did you get stuck in an old one? And we're not just talking about ugly wallpaper here. The complaints get pretty serious. No hot water, for multiple days, musty hallways, you can hear everything through the walls. And this one is really concerning. People reporting items going missing after their room was cleaned. That shows a massive inconsistency in what kind of stay you might get. You know, this really shows why it's so important to get the full picture when you're planning a big trip. And that's exactly what we try to do here. So if you're finding this breakdown useful, do us a quick favor and hit that like button and subscribe for more deep dives. It honestly helps us a ton. All right, so moving on from the rooms for a second, there's another huge feature that people talk about all the time, especially if they're traveling with kids. Let's talk about Castaway Cove. So Castaway Cove is basically the hotel's own little water park, and it is a major selling point. You've got water slides, a big drench bucket, water cannons, even a little pool for toddlers. It's a huge, huge perk for families, and a great way to spend a day when you're not in the parks.
And just like Tim M. says here, it's the perfect way for kids to unwind. You know, after you've been walking all day, having a place for them to just splash around and burn off that last bit of energy, that can be an absolute game changer.
Okay, so we've seen the 5-star dreams and the 1-star nightmares. After all of that, what's the final verdict? Should you actually stay here? Well, when you boil it all down with a little AI help, the positives really come back to a few key things. That super convenient location, the good value, helpful staff, and of course, for families, that water playground is a massive win. Which brings us to what I think is the most important takeaway here. We're calling it the HoJo Gamble. Your stay can be absolutely amazing, a 5-star dream, or it can be a 1-star disaster,
and it all seems to hinge on the room you're assigned to check in.
But here's the good news. You're not totally powerless in this gamble. You can definitely improve your odds. One reviewer had some great advice. Do your homework. Read the most recent reviews before you book, and see which buildings people are raving about. Building 1 seems to come up a lot. Then, when you book, and again when you check in, specifically ask for a renovated room.
And really, that's what it all comes down to. You have to ask yourself this one big question. Is that incredible, unbeatable 8-minute walk to the front gates of Disneyland worth rolling the dice on what kind of room you'll get? Thanks for watching.